Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Here we break down complex economic news, government policies, and global trade developments in a simple and easy to understand way, all from an Indian perspective. Today's topic is very important, especially if you're interested in India's position in global trade, geopolitics, or how policies from countries like the US can directly impact our economy. So make sure you stick around till the end because we're going to unpack not just what's happening, but what it really means for you and for India. Former US President Donald Trump is back in the headlines, this time with a big move that could affect India's economy. A proposed 25% tariff on Indian goods might sound like a trade war in the making. But here's the twist. According to the Global Trade Research Initiative, or GTRI, India might actually be in a better position than countries that already signed trade deals with the United States. Sounds confusing? Don't worry. In this video, we break it all down. What the tariff means, why India is not at a disadvantage, and how this situation could actually work in our favor. Let's start with what exactly Trump said. In his renewed political campaign, Trump has proposed a blanket 25% tariff on imports from several countries, including India. He claims this is to protect American businesses and create more jobs in the US. But this is not a new stance for Trump. Even during his presidency from 2016 to 2020, he emphasized America First policies, focusing heavily on trade imbalances. But here's where it gets serious. A 25% tariff on Indian goods could affect everything from IT services to textiles and pharmaceuticals. India exported goods worth over $80 billion to the US in 2024. So, yes, on the surface, this looks dangerous. But now enters the Global Trade Research Initiative, or GTRI, an Indian think tank that analyzes trade policies around the world. Its founder, Ajay Srivastava, made a powerful statement. He said, and we quote, "India is not in a worse off position compared to countries that have already signed trade deals with Washington. Countries like the UK, the European Union, Japan, Indonesia, and Vietnam, all of them signed trade agreements with the United States in recent years. And what did they give up in return? Let's take a closer look. According to GTRI, 1. The UK and EU agreed to zero tariffs on US agricultural products. 2. Japan made massive investment commitments in American energy and tech sectors. 3. Indonesia and Vietnam committed to buying billions worth of American oil, gas, and arms. All this just to avoid higher tariffs. It's like negotiating with a gun to your head. You get a deal, but at a heavy price. India, on the other hand, took a very different approach. GTRI's Ajay Srivastava pointed out that India negotiated in good faith. We didn't walk away from the table, but we refused to cross our red lines. And what were those red lines? Agriculture. Over 700 million Indians, that's more than half the population, are directly or indirectly dependent on agriculture. If India had agreed to unrestricted imports of cheap US farm goods, it would have put the livelihoods of our farmers at serious risk. And that's not a political line, it's economic reality. A sudden flood of subsidized US corn, soy, or dairy could destabilize rural India. So, India said no. Trump's justification for the tariffs? He says India has high tariffs, trade barriers, and close ties with Russia. But GTRI tears this apart. India's tariffs are within WTO guidelines. In fact, many developed countries use non-tariff barriers like strict health and safety regulations to block imports. As for Russia, let's be honest. In a volatile global oil market, India did what was necessary to control inflation and ensure energy security by importing discounted Russian oil. And we're not alone. Over 90 countries are also facing pressure from the US to align with its geopolitical interests. So, singling out India doesn't hold up to scrutiny. This moment also reflects a broader shift in India's global trade strategy. Instead of rushing into one-sided deals, India is now signing free trade agreements that actually work for us. India signed balanced FTAs with the UAE and Australia, focusing on sectors like textiles, jewelry, pharmaceuticals, and IT. India is also betting big on self-reliance through the PLI schemes, building digital infrastructure, and boosting manufacturing. So even if Trump returns to office and imposes tariffs, India is better prepared this time. GTRI concludes with an optimistic note. A deal with the US is still possible. But it has to be a fair deal, one that respects India's priorities and doesn't force us to make huge concessions just for the sake of optics. And that's a lesson for every developing nation negotiating with a global superpower. Hold your ground, protect your people, and don't be afraid to walk away from a bad deal. What does this mean for the common Indian? Well, here's the good news. Your job in IT, pharma, or export-based manufacturing isn't under immediate threat. Yes, some sectors might see pricing pressure in the US, but overall, India has not lost anything. In fact, we've avoided giving up too much. And in the long term, if India keeps strengthening domestic manufacturing and exports to other nations, we may reduce dependence on any one market, even the US. So, is Trump's 25% tariff on Indian goods a serious issue? Yes. But is India in a weaker position because of it? Absolutely not. In fact, we've avoided falling into a trap that other nations couldn't escape. What do you think? Should India hold its ground or be more flexible in its trade negotiations with the US? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more detailed economic and policy analysis. And follow us for weekly updates on global trade, geopolitics, and India's economic journey.